Okay, welcome to another class on the Secret History, Chapter 4, and today we're doing vocabulary. But I will mention a little bit of inversion when we get to the fronted negative adverbials. I think that's something that's good to learn as you go along, because really it's the same grammar as a question, and you already know how to make questions. Yeah, you use did I, or doesn't he, or don't you, and you do exactly the same when you start with not only, or not until, or at no time, under no circumstances. So we'll deal with those ones as they come up. Yeah, and notice I've just used a phrasal verb as they come up, as these topics appear, as they come up in each class. Okay, and so do be aware of phrasal verbs, and please use them as often as possible, and you will sound like a native speaker. So firstly, we have this sentence: I stopped by, phrasal verb, yeah, I stopped by their apartment, but they weren't home. Now we have loads of other phrasal verbs that mean exactly the same thing as stopped by. You can say I popped round, I popped over, I dropped by, I dropped round their apartment, but they weren't home. So you have lots of other options, but stopped by is very often used as well. Yeah, and so this by is often seen. Yeah, I dropped by, I stopped by, I dropped round their apartment, I popped over, I called round, yeah, so all of those are possible, but I stopped by their apartment, but they weren't home. So be aware of that one, and please use it whenever you pay somebody a flying visit. And notice we say pay somebody a visit, yeah, just like pay somebody attention, we say pay somebody a flying visit. Very often it's a flying visit if it's a quick visit, and I do think that we use these phrasal verbs very often for quick visits. Yeah, so you popped over, you stopped by their apartment, but they weren't home. Now his voice broke into a quaver. Now a quaver is here a trembling voice, a shaky voice. When your voice shakes and sounds nervous, your voice breaks into a quaver. But we use this break into usually with sweat. When you start sweating, you can say, I broke into a sweat. And you can also break into a run. Yeah, you can break into a run and break into a sweat. Break into a run means start running. Yeah, just suddenly start running. But break into a sweat, start sweating. So if you're running, you're probably going to break into a sweat. Yeah, we'll see break out in a sweat over here. And so be aware that you can break into a sweat or break out in a sweat. Both are possible. Okay, so you can also say your voice breaks into a quaver, meaning it starts shaking, a trembling voice, a shaking voice. Okay, now when they were talking about the phone, and remember that this was written 30 years ago, before we had mobile telephones, we had the phrase, the line went dead, and that means that there was nobody on the other end. The line stopped putting you through to somebody. It stopped connecting you to somebody. So the line went dead. Be aware of these go and adjective phrases, because we have a lot of them. And you can't say that a person went dead, by the way. You just say that a person died. But you do say that the phone line went dead. Okay, meaning that you stopped being connected to that person. But there are many other go plus adjective expressions. It's not just go dead. In the last class, we had go stiff. Yeah, I can't remember, but somebody's body went stiff, perhaps because he was so freezing cold. I can't remember. But a dead body goes stiff because of rigor mortis. Yeah, a few hours after death, the body, the dead body, the corpse, goes stiff.